Many of us have worked together for hours and hours and hours at numerous meetings at your offices and ours, and over coffees and so forth and so on for the Canal. And so welcome to the second annual State of the Canal. We are here enjoying the hospitality of Denver Water in their historic 3 stone buildings, right? Which is where the pump house used to be many years ago, and there was some type of a old reservoir here, is that right? Okay. And as we appreciate this land where we are and are here to talk about the land of the Highline Canal, I want to begin with an acknowledgement that the land on which we stand is the traditional territory of the Ute, Cheyenne, and Arapaho people. We honor elders past, present, and future who have stewarded this land through the generations, and we respect indigenous methods for caring for the land and recognize continued exclusions and erasures of indigenous peoples. And so thank you to Jim Lockhead, who I think is about to come. Oh, there he is, the heckler. And Tom Rood and Amy and the team at Denver Water for the uncountable hours of time that's been spent working with all of us on the future of the canal to make sure that there is a vital future and the canal's in good hands as we move forward. And so today we're going to be talking about that and what a good place the Highline Canal is in today because of the work of all of you. So with that, the canal is an amazing resource. I can't talk about the canal without putting the map up there. 860 acres, 71 miles, an incredible resource to connect millions and millions of people today and in the future. And I know all of you know that. It was hand dug back in the 1880s, then acquired by Denver Water in 1924, opened up in South Suburban Parks and Rec to recreation in the 70s. The historic water delivery function is no longer smart nor sustainable, which has caused all of us to come together to figure out a bright future for the canal. And together through this public-private partnership, the Canal Collaborative, that you are here, we are figuring out a bright future for this old part of our infrastructure and creating it as a open space network and smart water stormwater management system. And so with that, I think we're going to jump into a couple of stories that I have to share with you. Hold on just a minute, sorry. In this room, we have people from 13 different jurisdictions, and we have Christine Sweetland, council member from Centennial as well, and hope to have them joining this Canal Collaborative. We have some jurisdictions, such as the Rec District, South Suburban, that crosses over 3, so that's why you get so many. We have stormwater entities as well. And so thank you all for participating in the Canal Collaborative. And, it was our common belief back in the beginning when we created this, and even when we started the Conservancy, I think all of us believe and have worked together with understanding that by working together, we could do more for the Highline Canal than any entity, Denver Water, Arapahoe County, anyone could do alone. And so it is through that belief that we've been able to accomplish so much for the Highline Canal. So there's the list of the elected folks that are on the forum. And now I want to talk, before we celebrate progress, I want to talk about some of the people for whom we're doing this work. And so in their own words, this is Elaine at mile 46. Years ago, I was injured in a car accident, and I'm unable to drive. The Highline Canal is one of the best parts of my life. It has helped me heal and recover. I take a daily nature ride with my long-haired Chihuahua, and it's how I get to the grocery store and pharmacy. And I love the volunteers who clean up the Highline Canal. And then we have Dan from Centennial. Dan says, the Highline Canal Trail is the place I go to escape the pavement and the city. It has birds, a dirt path, and even some cottonwoods. Sometimes I see coyotes and foxes in red. I don't see. Sometimes I observe coyotes, foxes, and raccoons. As a non-driving blind person, the canal is accessible to my house off Broadway. During the quarantine of 2020, I began the ritual of walking the canal every morning. When I first stepped out of the house, many of us on the canal didn't know how to act toward each other, but shortly it became the place where we could connect and escape from the pandemic anxiety, where we would see others, I keep saying that, experience it in others. For me, I particularly love to just listen and smell. I still remember smelling the spring unfold and hearing the first meadowlark of that spring in 2020. And then here's what Patty and James have to say. We chose to live in Windsor Gardens because it backs up to the Highline Canal. We are canal regulars, enjoying quiet, peaceful morning walks from Windsor Garden to Fairmont Cemetery. People from all walks of life share the canal in harmony and even camaraderie. But the Highline Canal is so much more than a gathering and walking place. It's a ribbon of nature meandering miles. It gives us a place to pause, look up at towering cottonwoods, and remember our connection to the natural world. This is just a small snippet of the hundreds of stories that we've actually collected with a volunteer photographer, and it's really amazing to see the faces and hear the stories, and they're all so different. Many of us probably have stories of our own, but it just shows the impact that this slice of nature can have on people's lives. So thanks to each and every one of you in the room for, with your combined forces, making sure that we're improving this resource for generations to come. So now a few highlights of the things that have been accomplished this year. I first want to say that there are numerous partnership agreements in the works and some that have been signed to take on additional care of the Highline Canal. That has been no small feat. It's taken hours and hours of discussion and understanding of the maintenance costs and the stormwater, experience of the canal in those sections to get this far in understanding what it means to manage the Highline Canal. I guess I'm supposed to change here, sorry. Connectivity and safety is a huge part of the plan for the Highline Canal that was created back in 2017. Exciting openings of the Parker and Mississippi underpass that you see right here. Oops. Thank you, I wasn't watching. There it is. And a big thank you to the City and County of Denver and the other partners for their persistence on that project. The start of construction is underway on an underpass at Santa Fe in Douglas County. Yay, it's amazing. And I know we have Mayor Kaufman here. The start of construction to close the final trail gap along the Highline Canal in Aurora from Colfax to I-70, including an overpass project that will connect over I-70 and connect the high needs areas of Denver and Aurora. In addition, thanks to the vision of so many of you and the powerful leadership of Arapahoe County Open Spaces, I know many of you already know this and were involved, but we're thrilled to share that applications for tens of millions of federal infrastructure money have been submitted to DRCOG to support 4 key projects that were all highly prioritized in the regional plan for the Highline Canal. Broadway and Arapahoe, amazing, yeah. Yale and Holly, a top priority for the City and County of Denver, and they've already appropriated some funds for that. Colfax, one of the underpasses, we're keeping our ambition for 2 eventually, and design funds for an underpass at Quebec. Collaborative partners are advancing other critical projects to improve the trail and user experience, along with the environmental health of the Highline Canal, including planting trees. Thank you to Greenwood Village and other partners in the Conservancy. Russian olive removal with Mile High Youth Corps, and plans to resurface the Highline Canal. The canal's transition to manage stormwater as green infrastructure is underway, with capital projects being invested in many jurisdictions and new designs in other areas, along with intensive planning for how to do this. And everywhere from Aurora to Littleton and on. So just for a second, I think this is what I do. And I dropped the sound, but check out this stormwater going into the Highline Canal. It looks like you're in the mountains, doesn't it? It's pretty beautiful, but it also creates some risk, some safety issues that together we're all addressing, right? Here's one way to address that. This is the project that many of us have already seen, but I wanted to show of the berms in Eisenhower Park that Denver, City and County Denver stepped forward as leaders many years ago now. So this is just one of the multiple benefits that stormwater management in the Highline Canal has. It benefits the safety, it benefits water quality, and it also has a side benefit of benefiting the natural resources in the Highline Canal. So it couldn't be a smarter thing to do. It's part of the system of smart water management that Denver Water's been advocating for a long time. So thanks to all who are making plans for the Highline Canal become a reality, from elected officials to the planners and the project managers and the volunteers to the finance people. And you know, thanks to all of you, the state of the canal is strong, okay? So your service to the community makes the community better. It makes the canal better. And speaking of making the canal better, it's my pleasure to introduce our board chair, Paula Hersmark, who exemplifies what it means to make the community better. She served not only as former chair of the Denver Water Board, but for 15 years as an incredible leader that grew the Denver Health and Hospitals Foundation to what it is today. She has served as head of the State Department of Local Affairs under Lamb, and it's my understanding she was the youngest leader of one of the departments when she was appointed. And she continues to work as a volunteer leader, she continues to work and to serve as a volunteer leader for numerous nonprofit boards, including our board. It's my pleasure to welcome you and to ask you to speak. Yeah.
Well, for me to still be young, I would have had to have been a 10-year-old member of the governor's cabinet under the Lamb administration. So you gave me away. Okay. So in the vision that the community set forth, what's it been now, 7 or 8 years ago, the Highline Canal's 71 meandering miles will be preserved and enhanced as a cherished greenway that connects people to nature and binds various communities together from the foothills to the plains. And it was this charge and the visionary people in this room from all the different jurisdictions, as well as Denver Water, who have been the driving force in moving this work forward to make this vision a reality, to ensure the sustainability of the future of the canal as a recreational and historical and ecological resource for this region forevermore. So it's about partners in large measure, and all of you represent some remarkable partners through the years, and for whom we are deeply grateful. Now, today I'm only going to talk about a couple of you, but first I want to acknowledge and introduce the Conservancy board members who are here today. And so I wonder if when I call your name you'd stand so everyone can see you, and so that you'll have an opportunity to speak to one another, hopefully after we have finished this program. And if I didn't see you and so I don't name you, please just wave at me and I'll remember your name with any luck at all as an older person. Okay, first let me introduce Dirk McDermott, who is the immediate past chair and has been the chair of the Conservancy Board for many years now. Mike Rosser may have been on the board longer than anyone else. Mike Rosser. Steve Coffin, who many of you I think probably already know. Greg Austin served with me on the Denver Water Board and is now with the Conservancy. Evan Ela has just joined the Conservancy Board. Is there anyone that I missed? Good. Good. We're trying to have representatives on the board of the Conservancy that reflect the entire region. We're progressing in that direction. And I'd like to talk to you about a couple of leaders in particular. And let me talk about Harriet first. I know you all know Harriet. And it isn't enough to just say Harriet. It really should be the remarkable Harriet Lemaire. She has been an extraordinary leader for this organization. She's been a natural, really. She comes out of an experience in local government, and that experience, together with her just magical personality, has moved this organization forward in a way that no one would have imagined 7 or 8 years ago. And so I don't think there's enough that anyone can say about her commitment, the time and energy and resource that she has put into this effort. And it shows that we are as far along as we are is in large measure due to her leadership, her commitment, and her giving over of her life, really, to make this work. So, Harriet Crittenden Lemaire. One of the really important things that Harriet has brought to the table has been her commitment to the relationship with all the jurisdictions along the canal and the importance of each and every one of those relationships to the success of the overall project here. And so that commitment and dedication, really, to these partnerships is a big part of why we are where we are today. Next, well, before I get to Jim Lockhead, I'm going to save him for last. I'm going to talk about not a person, but I'm going to talk about Denver Water for a moment. Denver Water's real and deep commitment and dedication to ensuring a sustainable and real future for the canal as a recreational and environmental gem has been absolutely the essential ingredient in the success of what we're doing here. The perception of Denver Water as sort of the tough guy in the 20th century has been replaced by the community partner of the 21st century. The partnership with the Conservancy and the jurisdictions with the Conservancy and the jurisdictions, cements its new and much deserved reputation for collaboration and teamwork. I want to say that again since I screwed it up. The partnership of Denver Water with the Conservancy and the jurisdictions cements its new and much deserved reputation for collaboration and teamwork. It's a new era, if you will, has been for the last number of years at Denver Water. And I think that's important to acknowledge and know and look forward to as our partnership grows and continues. So that's Denver Water. a lot of why Denver Water has become that collaborative and team member to jurisdictions, to the Conservancy, and to the larger Denver community, metropolitan Denver community, is its leadership in Jim Lochhead. One of the proudest things, probably the most proud thing that I point to about my service on the Denver Water Board, and I think my colleagues there share the same view, is that we chose Jim Lochhead to serve as its CEO when we had that opportunity. How long has it been, Jim? 10 years?
Almost 13 now.
Almost 13. Yes. We lose all sense of time as we get older, right? So for the last 13 years, Jim has made a huge difference. And I can roll through all his many accomplishments, and I'll highlight a few. But then I want to talk about the person for just a moment. You know, when you look at professionally what he has accomplished in his 13 years at Denver Water, he completed the CRCA, the partnership with the mountain towns and counties that has been so essential and has made such a difference in the mountains and here. He introduced lean into Denver Water, making it more efficient and making continuous improvement in operations a part of the ethic of the institution. The North Water Treatment Plant, the WISE project, the gross expansion, the total rewards program for employees. I'm sure I'm leaving out some, but those are some of the highlights. These are all huge, huge undertakings. Jim took them all on and made a success of each and every one. And he won't be here to finalize all of them, but the legacy really is his. And for that, I think all of us who have been associated with Denver Water are deeply grateful. The other thing about, though, Jim doesn't like to hear about or talk about is how people feel. So I'm going to talk about it. Is how people feel about him. The people who work the most closely with him, his staff, and the people who serve on the board and work closely with him from the point of view of the board. Jim Lochhead is a good and decent man, and I don't think it would be an exaggeration to say that we love him. We love you. It has been an honor to know you and to work with you. And I'm excited for you as you move on. And I'm excited for Denver Water to have a new chapter, but I am personally deeply saddened to lose you. So with that, before I cry, let me give you the wonderful and lovable, but professionally extraordinary Jim Lochhead.
Oh, Paula, it's always wonderful to follow you. Well, first of all, let me express my excitement to have this event here at Denver Water. I wanted to do it outside, but Harriet said no. Part of what we accomplished, and I want to acknowledge Greg Austin and Paula, is this wonderful campus that we're sitting in. They established a vision for this campus of being what the future of water is and should be in Colorado. And as a result, this is the most sustainable campus development that's yet been built in Colorado. The administration building right over here is net zero energy. It's LEED Platinum. We have an in-building wastewater treatment system where we're taking all the wastewater and using it for toilet flushing and irrigation. We do rainwater capture. We're doing heat capture off of our own water supply. All of the vegetation around this campus is native vegetation, and really demonstrates Denver Water's commitment to the future and the stewardship of the resources upon which we depend. It's really an exciting facility, and I really appreciate the vision of the board in establishing that. As Harriet was mentioning, this three-stone building is a historic old pump station that we've preserved, and just really excited to showcase this beautiful campus that we built right before the pandemic and then had to vacate, and then now we're just so excited to be back. So welcome. So Denver Water is certainly about that stewardship, and we're also about collaboration. And it's, as I thought about today, I thought about, it's been about 10 years since we signed the first collaborative agreement with the jurisdictions among ourselves, committing to some vague idea about what the future of the Highline Canal might be, but committing to work together to achieve that future. And since the Highline Canal has been formed under the incredible leadership of Harriet and the board, in partnership with the Conservancy and those jurisdictions, we've developed a vision to transform an inefficient irrigation canal into a national model that creates this 71-mile linear park and trail. Just an incredible thing to think about the last 10 years and what's been achieved. We will combine Denver Water's needs with stormwater management and permanent preservation of the recreational and environmental values of this corridor. And we've done more than create a vision. We are actively working together to bring that vision to life. From the new signage and that Harriet showed off, the enhancements, the community cleanup projects, the new crossings, the stormwater improvements, and on, we are also putting together the financial resources to ensure that future and make permanent protection and enhancement for this and future generations. And so I'm really pleased today to announce that Denver Water has provided an additional $1 million to the Conservancy as matching the incredible fundraising efforts that Harriet and her team have undertaken and her board toward that financial future. This is a wise use of Denver Water ratepayer money. We retain and enhance the canal for water delivery when needed. We improve water quality and the canal ecosystem through stormwater management. And we leverage the investments of the Highline Canal Conservancy and local jurisdictions so that together we can achieve this incredible vision. And there's still more to come. We look forward to making further improvements and investments into the future of the canal and making permanent our partnership with the Conservancy and the jurisdictions. And so I'm glad to report, as Harriet did as well, that the state of the canal is strong and our future is bright. And so with that, I would like to introduce Mayor Mike Kaufman from Aurora. Aurora has been a really important and valued partner with us in the Conservancy and the other jurisdictions on the canal. And I would be remiss to say, to not mention that Mayor Kaufman has really been a visionary in terms of his view of water in the West, the need for utilities to conserve water supplies, tough decisions to make in terms of saying that we need to use less water in our communities and we need to be more respectful of the environment and that we live in and the changes that we're going to face in the future coming forward. So, Mayor, thank you for your leadership on that issue in particular. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Well, thank you. It's great to be here with you today. And Harriet and I go way back. I think back when the earth was cooling, when I was a state legislator, and you worked for the Colorado General Assembly, and so those were our first interactions. And whenever I have a meeting set up with Harriet, I'm always a little bit nervous. I check with staff and say, what do you think she wants? I mean, it's all because there's always like no ask in the meeting, but there is an ask in the meeting. And so, obviously I leave my watch and my wallet with security and we have the meeting. But she looks nice, but underneath that surface, there's something else there that I don't want to really talk about at this meeting. But I think she's tough. She's just tough. But anyway, let me introduce a couple of folks from the city of Aurora that are with us. Sarah Young from our water department is here. And I think we have Brian Green from our pros department, Parks and Recreation department, whom I always consult before I have that meeting with Harriet. And we have Mike Rosser here, who's from Aurora, who's with the board, been a board member for a long time, and Council Member Allison Coombs with her little one. Thank you. The city of Aurora has 16 miles of the canal that run through our diverse neighborhoods. The canal provides nearly 200 acres of open space for residents, contributing significantly to increasing access to natural space and improving the well-being of our communities. As Harry mentioned, it impacts people in different ways, and it is a critical piece to the physical and mental health of our communities. And so I grew up around the canal, and so my father, late father, was a career soldier who was transferred to Fitzsimmons Army Medical Center as a member of the Army Medical Corps in 1964 when I was 9 years old. And so then when my father retired, we moved to out east, right by the canal. And so during the spring and through the summer and into the fall, the canal would fill up and it became like a central playground for young boys growing up. And so we had it was so extraordinary, lined with these beautiful stately cottonwood trees. And so, of course, we had a rope and we had the proverbial tie the rope, and the objective was to get to the other side, which seldom happened, but so you fall in the canal. But the most exciting part of the year was in the early fall when they drained the canal. And my poor late mother, there were tons of critters in the canal waiting to be picked up and taken home, snakes and salamanders and all kinds of stuff. And so I just have such extraordinary memories of the canal. And so obviously it's sad, but I get it that there's no longer water in the canal, although I think there's a storm water issue that's going to be talked about. But and how do you preserve the trees and the beauty of the canal? And so the really extraordinary challenges before us. But what an incredible asset to have from a recreational standpoint that I think the 71 miles of this canal, and to have a trail system. And part of our program in Visit Aurora is to really tout this as a recreational amenity for the city, and so many people use it throughout. I mean, not just obviously in Aurora, but throughout the canal. That do their daily walks, do their jogs, do their bike riding along the canal, and so it's just an extraordinary thing to have. And so we clearly want to continue being a partner. I don't know that we have a choice, but I mean, being a partner with Harriet. Do we have any meetings scheduled? I have to look forward to those meetings. But, what an extraordinary asset, and thank you, Denver Water, for your leadership on the preserving the canal, and it's just, it's something that if we don't all work together on, that preserving the canal is just not going to happen as a recreational amenity that we can tout, that we can be proud of. And so I want to thank all of you for all you do. Harriet, you too, and of course I look forward to the next meeting.
That was rather embarrassing, but I did meet Mayor Mike when he was, in the state legislature, and I was the lowly staff. And I want to point out, a non-committed, the staff was not Republican and not Democratic. They wouldn't allow you to even register in either party, which was really good training for this job. So, but we all want to thank you and the city of Aurora for the incredible commitment and Tracy's leadership, Tracy Young, our COO, when she was in Aurora, to get that overpass and the final leg of that section along Tower Road completed. For those of you that have biked or walked the canal, that's the roughest section right there. So that's amazing. Thanks for the comments. I want to thank all of you for your partnership and commitment. I want to say that I appreciate Paula's comments, but an organization is the sum of its parts. And so will the staff of the Conservancy. Please stand up. Special thanks to Josh for pulling this together and being the lead with the Canal Collaborative. We're having a reception outside with some drinks and treats. Yeah, oh yeah, I'm supposed to click. Oh, thank you. Thank you. And we're going to have a picture over here of everyone involved in the project, except for, I guess, us staff. Is that right? Oh, yeah, all the electeds and leadership teams. Electeds and leadership teams, and the councilwoman from Centennial. So we'd appreciate it if you guys would go over there. So that's the leadership team and the Canal Forum, which is the electeds. And if you're not sure which one you are, okay. Thank you, guys. Yeah, the reception's out there.